Very good mornings to ladies and gentlemen. Now it is 10 o'clock Malaysian and Singapore time. So we are now in a webinar, a joint webinar between the Chartered Institute Logistics and Transport in Malaysia as well as University Tengku Abdul Rahman UTAR Kampar campus. So this webinar is today we're going to discuss on the challenges of managing supply chain during COVID-19 pandemic. So today in this webinar we will hear the experience from the panelists who consist of the people who involved in supply chain and about how they manage the supply chain during COVID-19 pandemic. First, the first panelist is Mr. Abdullah Sani Syari. He's a chartered member with the Chartered Institute Logistics and Transport. He's also the managing director of Global Marketing Sdn Bhd. Second panel, we have Mr. Louis Ng. He's also a chartered member with the Chartered Institute Logistics and Transport. Currently, he is with AMD Microelectronics Sdn Bhd in Penang. The third panel is Mr. Kelvin Tan Kai Wen. He's a MILT, currently with Jabil Circuit. Correct, Kelvin? Is from your you are in yes. Jabil Circuit Penang. And lastly, Miss Lo Zizwan. She's now in Singapore. Currently work with Panasonic Singapore. So these are the panel today. So before I start this event, I would like to call Datuk Muhammad Muhyiddin, CMILT, to give an opening speech for this webinar. So I would like to invite Datuk to give the opening speech.
Good morning, everybody. Dr. Azam, the Master of Ceremony, Mr. Mohan, and of the panelists. First and foremost, I would like to thank and congratulate the CILT Malaysia Perak Section and the University Tengku Abdul Rahman College Faculty of Science for conducting the second webinar. I would like to thank participants for giving time on Saturday morning to join the webinar. And then I hope that the participant will benefit from this webinar. So the subject, I think the subject is quite interesting. I think it's important to everybody. There is the challenges managing supply chain during COVID-19. So the importance of supply chain, I think the world that human beings live nowadays depend on efficient supply chain management. Imagine without such efficient network and connectivity among those parties in the supply chain, the result will lead to first, no food on our table for us to eat, no cloth for us to wear, no television or computer for us to watch our favorite movie, and on materials available to build a house for us to live. It could be said that without efficient supply chain process, human beings not able to enjoy their life to the fullest. Supply chain is the mainstream of global business, and it is crucial for business acumen to understand the concept of supply chain. The disruption of COVID-19 on the supply chain. The COVID-19 pandemic, which began at end of year 2019, has impacted our life until today. It started disruption at China, which is the global manufacturing plant disruption, which is the global manufacturing plant. Disruption at China has impacted the global supply chain process and directly impacted global economic conditions. The situation from year 2019 moves to year 2020, where many countries implemented lockdown. The lockdown approach seemed like best measure at that time to curb the spread of COVID-19 virus, but it led to negative impact on the country economy. During 2020 lockdown, many companies struggling to survive, and there are companies that lost the battle to COVID-19. Look at the tourism industry, where there are few hotels in Perak that closed their door permanently and employees lost their work. Whereas those companies that involved in global manufacturing and global trade, the business able to survive with many difficulties arise due to restrictive from government. Production in the plant still need to continue with logistics and supply chain profession working to ensure good delivery to clients and goods purchased at their premises. The logistics and supply chain, which considered today as essential job, logistics and supply chain become the buzzword that people begin to appreciate the task of the logistics and supply chain professional. COVID-19 has changed the perspective of people who previously assumed logistics and supply chain as postman or courier to a carrier for lifetime with many possibilities as well as opportunities. The pandemic has affected activities in the movement of goods from year 2020 to 2020 to the first quarter of year 2021. The issue of port congestion and shortage of container become an issue that disrupt the supply chain. Like today, I think the Suez Canal is blocked.
Yes.
And it is a history in the making where logistics and supply chain practitioner community should learn from this question. This is the time where logistics and supply chain professionals need to reflect on the strength and weaknesses of supply line. Utilize this time to identify the supply chain opportunities as well as its threats of future disruptions. There is also lesson learned from COVID-19 pandemic. We are human beings with guidance from our religious and cultural beliefs will find ways to thrive and sustain during the pandemic. Concept of new normal has become the normal life of us. Face mask, hand sanitizer, hygiene caution, social distancing, and work from home have become the normality of daily activity. The normality of all the daily activity. This normality should be embraced. The people and logistics as well as supply chain professionals should the one to promote this hygienic normality concept even after cure of COVID-19 has been found. The revolution of information technology exploded again during the COVID-19 pandemic from year 2020 to year 21 to the year 2021. Online real-time video conference and online webinar such as Zoom, Webex, Google Meet, Skype, Microsoft Teams become the approach for communication as well as knowledge sharing platform. Higher learning institutions begin to teach via video conference and webinar. Students able to communicate with their lecturer 100 kilometers apart by using Google Meet or Skype. Such communication has disrupted the traditional telephone approach and it takes less than a year for humans to adopt such technological changes. The COVID-19 pandemic also able to reduce pollution as there are less farming and reduce vehicle movement on the road. Studies published in September 2020 in the Journal Science of the Total Environment, which analyzed the impact of COVID-19 related lockdown on aerosol and pollutants over the Southeast Asian atmospheric environment, found that lockdown has caused a notable decrease in aerosol and pollution. This has proved that COVID-19 provides a positive impact to community in the sense that it helps to reduce pollution. There are many things that logistics and supply chain professionals could learn from disruption of the COVID-19. It is hoped that this webinar, the panel able to share their experiences with the participants on their approach in managing supply chain. Lastly, I would like to take this opportunity to thank again Tengku Abdurrahman, the Faculty of Science, for jointly organize this function, and then to the alumni of University Tengku Abdurrahman for spending their time today, their quality time today, to be with us, to share their experiences in overcoming the supply chain problem during the COVID-19. And also to my treasurer, to Haji Abdullah Hani, he's the treasurer of CILT Perak Section, and he's involved directly with the supply chain business. So once again, and to Dr. Azam, who has been working very hard with the team to make this webinar success, and to Mr. Mohan, all the best, as the moderator today. Thank you.
Thank you, Datuk.
Thank you very much, Datuk. An eye-opening speech whereby we will see that supply chain is vital, is the mainstream now. Without supply chain, we are going to have difficulties to have our food, our clothing, and our necessaries from farm to our house. Okay, now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Mohan. Mr. Mohan shall take over the session now. He will moderate the session. So the floor is yours, Mr. Mohan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Azam, and good morning, Dato, and everyone, all the panels. Now, of course, it's wonderful that to be here, to have especially the panels from the both ends, actually, from the perspective of the entrepreneur as well, the employer as well, the employees. So that's going to make the webinar today is a bit different as well. I earn more fruitful for the sessions itself. Now, the first things that I would like to say here is, as what Dato said just now, this pandemic, COVID-19 has brought a different, era of, strategy for every organization, if I'm not wrong. Okay, and of course, supply chain is one of the key area that every organizations need to focus as well and need to work towards the directions. And this pandemic, of course, halt every angle of this supply chain indeed. Okay, without any delay, I would like to just post my questions to the panels so that we can hear more things from the panels actually, rather than we talk a lot here. Okay, the first thing I would like to post this to Inci Abdullah. Okay, Inci Abdullah, welcome to this webinar, and I would like to say thank you very much for this. And the first thing that I would like to ask is, how do you really, being an entrepreneur, how this COVID-19 affected your company as well, your supply chain process?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Mr. Mohan, giving me the opportunity to talk about the supply chain effect on our company or our industry, food industry. I can say it really affected when the pandemic COVID-19, everybody cannot go out to buy stuff and products. Remember at the last year, everybody had to stay at home, and then the government put enforcement only husband only can go out to get the food at the supermarket. You know, husband never go to the supermarket to buy. So when they come back to the home, they get scolded by the wife. Because they wrongly choose the product. That is in our WhatsApp, right? That is a simple thing for the household. When you look at on the company itself, we have problem because when the government enforce that we can run with the 50% capacity. I remember when I got a job from Perak government to pack food for the asnaf, for the poor. They give me a deadline for 1 week to complete 10,000 boxes. So we are struggling to get the food, the stuff, the boxes. Until that, I'm being scolded with the officer. So I explained to the officer, look now, who's give this direction? You got to talk to your minister, because your minister enforced that to packaging company to stop production, running only 50%. So how do I can get the box? How do I can get the packaging? How do I can get the food and the stuff all together? Because in the beginning, the government already stopped the production. Then we very hard to get the stuff. You know what happened to me? I got to ask my people to go and search the product from one supermarket, one hypermarket to the other to get all the product, collect and get the stuff and make it happen. Doesn't matter. Even though we really can fulfill with the hard time to get all the 10,000 boxes to be completed, but it really give us a challenge and very hard. And then at the end, our cost of searching for the product, and we have to use our own lorry and transfer back to our warehouse is also involved under the cost. Really hike up our running expenses for the production to complete the boxes. Yeah, that's my answer for in overall. I can say it really affected when we having this COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, of course, we can understand overall. Of course, being the first time affected, like what Dato just now said, this is something new that we are experiencing, and and prior before this, we have never go through that such a spell of time to stop everything and be unable to go out. This is something very new experience for all of us indeed. And I know being an entrepreneur, it is not easy for you to manage the entire supply chain without have the full force as well, and also the full supply from your upstream level of your suppliers actually, and to fulfill your downstream level, which is within the limited time, the lead time is given. I know Abdullah, I'm sure you went through a very hard time of fulfilling it actually. On the other hand, that you say that being an individual, going buy things for ourselves, yeah, I think we all agree with that also too. We are unable to get things and as what we wanted actually. Okay, the same thing I would probably like to hear from the other panels, since they have been an employee in the companies, and how they experience this throughout this problem, the pandemic time. Probably I would like to hear from Lauzi Izwan, who is in Panasonic Singapore. So how the situation in Singapore that they have experienced it. Please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mohan, and hi everyone here. Okay, I just want to share under this pandemic, right, it's actually impacted hard to not only from the shipper side, but actually everyone. impacts everyone here. So firstly, it comes from like the rules and regulation that started when they started impose the CB in Singapore and also MCO in Malaysia. So rules and regulation comes like recently I will share one cases here, like cross-border, the trucking from Malaysia to Singapore. Each of the driver, they need to go for the swab test. Like this will actually taking a long time for the cargo going in from Malaysia to Singapore, which leads to cargo delay a lot. Because we can't expect, if we need the cargoes urgently, maybe we cannot like have the cargo reach to the customer side on time, which this is also one a big problem, which cargo delay is a big problem to us. And another things I would like to share is on the container shortage, which like have mentioned earlier, container shortage, which now is like, I believe demand is more than supply, the container, which is that impact badly everyone. Then even my customers are also jumping, say they cannot have their cargoes and cannot have their sales, vessel delay also. So this is really few points I want to pinpoint here under this pandemic.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lau Zizuan. I think I'm sure in Singapore also they had a very tough time. Okay, of course they had the first time we have imposed, Malaysian government imposed MCO, and of course in Singapore it was very mild cases, so they don't have that kind of impose. But now later part it went to the other way around, that Singapore also got affected and totally halt everything. There's no more movement totally. Actually, that's also happened. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, how about Kelvin? How's your organization managed, and how about in this during this time?
So I'd like to talk up on what Zishan mentioned just now. Recently, we've also faced the situation where the SOP came into play because the driver, he was delivering a transcon shipment from Singapore into Malaysia, and it was found that the driver's temperature was actually more than what was permitted, then higher than 37.5 degrees Celsius, and this caused the whole shipment to be on hold at the customs side because the driver was not allowed to enter the border. So this caused a 1-day delay, but in production and especially for contract manufacturers, a day's worth of production, or what we call production line down, will maybe affect our customers' shipment and our on-time delivery commit to our customers.
Oh.
One more thing I'd like to highlight is that, same like freight, if we want something to be done quicker, we'll pay a premium to our suppliers, or we can pay a premium to the forwarders. Right now, we are facing a situation where the suppliers do not want to quote us any premium charges because they are unable to even fulfill us with overtime, because such as the impact of this COVID-19 to their operations, and it badly affected their capacity. So they are unable to support even within the normal lead time.
Okay, thank you. So I believe, Mr. Luis, from your point of sight, I believe you also had some hassles as well. Mr. Luis, you need to unmute. Oh, yes. Okay.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Very good morning.
And yeah, thank you, Mr. Mohan. If you're talking about AMDs, right, I just joined them like earlier this year. So probably I'll be talking about my previous employment. So during the pandemic time, right, it's actually quite hard. Also, business is going down to the drain, I would say. Especially on the production side, because previously I was in the online printing. So some of the suppliers in Malaysia, they are able to operate, and then we do sell to Singapore. So there is a problem when we come to cross borders, because the truck, it's not allowed to crossing, because in the initial stage, right, it's like the border is totally closed. So no transactions, no trucks going in and coming out from Singapore. So we have to find a supplier in Singapore, because in Singapore, they are under the circuit breaker, whereby most of their industry is like, closing down, also is like in the minimum capacities. So we have to find the suppliers there to fulfill our customer in Singapore. So which it's actually increased our production cost overall, and then our profit is like it's really break evens only because we don't have any profit left anymore due to this pandemic. So it's like struggling for like 6 months. After that, it slowly open up. Then yeah, have to follow up all the SOPs, and then of course the whole supply chain is like the lead time is adding up like at least 2-3 days from Malaysia to Singapore for productions, for transporting, trucking from here. Because that time I was in KL. So speaking from KL to Singapore, normally it takes like 6-7 hours from here to there, including the custom clearance and to the warehouse. But now it's like more than 8 hours, sometimes even 12 hours. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Luis. Okay, that's good. So we heard from all the panels that there's a very hardship during this the first what do you call situation of pandemics that arise from last year actually. 2020 was a very struggling year actually for almost every organization indeed. Okay, the next questions I would like to pose to Inche Abdullah. Okay, Inche Abdullah, of course, being an entrepreneur, you have said that the struggle that you went through to manage that the supply chain during the time. How did your employees has managed themselves with the new changes, with the new the SOPs and all that been implemented?
Yeah, how do we manage the new SOP at the beginning? Of course, we have to explain and educate our staff the new SOP, which is in the morning they have to scan before they entry and so on. And then the customer, when the customer come, they have to write a book, or they have to scan and so on before they entry. But at the same time also, the numbers of people also have to be controlled, not to be crowded and so on. Yeah, we managed to explain and educate the customers and discuss good things. Thanks to God, everybody, public also, they well known about this SOP and they can accept this new SOP. But anyhow, when the flow of the customer, numbers of people be controlled, that also affect our turnover, our sale, which is our sale is not as good as before, compared to when those time people are crowded in our store, can get the stuff and the product. But now with a certain numbers of people, they only allowed to enter into our store, then it really affect our sale. Also, those who are the heat is over 37 over, more than 37, we do not allow. Of course, some of them they getting angry and are not satisfied. But we managed to explain to them, because if not, so how we do that is we tell them what they want. We go and get the product, and then we manage to give to the customer, so that to cool down the customer rather than going back without getting any stuff or product what he want. So this is how we manage for the new SOP, Mr. Mohan.
Okay. Okay. And how the what do you call? Probably, can you please? Could share with us that what kind of a supply chain process that you all manage at your place from your organization perspective?
When my business is involved in food business supply chain, which is we started from farmers, for example, those who are produce vegetables, produce chickens, and also fish, which is the product transported to what you call the gathering place. So normally the vegetable will go to one place, then go to the pasar borong for the wholesale. From the pasar borong, we will get the product and then send it to our warehouse, and then we segregate to what the customer want. So we will deliver to the customers, which is our customers are hospital, school, hotel, and also catering and so on.
Okay. Thank you very much, Inti Abdullah. That's of course that we could understand that your supply chain is really being distributors for that particular perishable goods. I think it's not an easy task actually, because you need to look into the quality of it, and then the lifespan for the span for the product is very short, and I think it's a very uphill task for you to to manage that supply chain. I believe it's it's not very easy.
We use a special truck, and also we have also core room to make sure all the stuff in a good and quality condition before delivering to customer. In fact, when we deliver also, we put it in a nice box to make sure the quality of the product reach to them in a good quality.
Very good. Excellent.
At the same time, we also remind the customer, do not leave this product outside too long. It must be put into the freezer as well.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Very good. Excellent. I mean, I think you have understood that the requirement in the supply chain itself, for that particular product that you are dealing with, and the nature of and characteristic of the product actually. Okay. Thank you, Abdullah. Okay. How about Ms. Lau? How do you, as being an individual as well, being in your colleagues, how they have adopted this, the new trend of, the what do you call to manage this supply chain at your workplace?
Yeah, currently under this pandemic, right? Every day is like a new challenges. Like every day we're facing new challenges every day. Like every day we are asking like from customer, there are many queries that sometimes they are like container shortage from the carrier side. They needed the cargoes to be shipping quickly. They need to work along with my colleagues, like to find out if they have any alternative of routing, like some because I'm handling transportation mode from land, sea, and air. So my colleagues actually is he is checking like rates or checking any other carrier they can find a better alternative route for us to going to ship this cargo in it's in a reasonable rate and preferable routing to our customers. So this is how now we need to adopt, and problem solving, of course. We need to like solve the problem really quickly. Like we cannot delay anymore. If we delay our response to our customers or to carrier, it might impose more charges, like sometimes demurrage or detention charges at the port because of our delay response. Sometimes we need to like act quickly for our daily work routine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, precisely what kind of job that you involve in your, that you involve and managing the supply chain actually? What kind of job that you are managing actually there? Okay,
actually I'm at work as a logistic as the executive. So actually I'm coordinating the shipment from our factory and to our end customer at all the destinations. So we have to check, because now currently we know vessel delay is one of the issue, and currently the issue of the Suez Canal issue also impact hardly to all of us. And also we need to check like preferably everything well before we propose the routing and rates to our customers. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Wow, that's really a lot of queries to be answered as well, I believe actually. Yeah. It's always important that you take care of your downstream of customers, because they are important. But despite of the situation, you still need to fulfill your supply chain in perfect, right? That is the real difficulties also. How about Kelvin? Kelvin, so what you are doing and how do you manage the supply chain? What is your role there?
So from my side, I'm a purchaser for mechanical parts. So my items are all very bulky, so most of it has to be shipped by ocean freight. So the new norm for us now, especially for new product introduction, NPIs, we are trying to look for actually local source instead of looking for the cheaper source, which may be overseas, because we are very worried that any disruption to the transportation is going to cause a very long delay in the lead time. So we're trying to minimize the impact of the transportation, even though the cost may be a little bit higher, but this is a temporary solution until the pandemic dies down, and only then we will maybe propose another source. But right now, we are trying to localize all of our parts to Malaysian manufacturers. So in order we can have better support, I would say, and less chances of having a disruption.
Okay. Yeah, I believe because of this, when you say you're getting your supply from local to sustain your supply chain effectively, I believe it also have a difficulty because to cater the right quality that you supposed to get, and of course there could be some kind of variance between this the product from abroad as well as from the local suppliers. I believe you have that difficulties actually, but I think for this time of period, I think that could be another optional strategy that for supply chain you need to manage. Okay, how about Luis? So what is your role in the supply chain actually there?
In my previous company, actually, it's senior supply chain analyst.
Okay.
So it's so-called analyst, but basically I handles like the whole operations, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to like oversee the productions, whether it has delays or not, because the manpower is like not like full capacity. They are not running like 24/7 anymore. So then we have to check with the suppliers. We have to check with the company sales team to negotiate with the customer whether they can have it later part or not, because we have a promise date to actually deliver it to the customers. So during this pandemic, all the promise date cannot be followed anymore because due to the lead time. Second, it's the the cross-border stuff like custom and then the SOP that require to cross borders. It's not only Singapore, same goes to Thailand also, because previous company they do ship to Thailand. Then we are facing like flight cancellations. Then we have to rebook the flight and all those stuff happening. So basically you don't have a proper sleep time now, I would say. You don't know what will happen during they having a custom clearance problem in the borders. Then you have to like stand by like 24/7 just to be prepared on something unexpected to happen, like maybe flight cancellation or maybe these declarations. And overall cost, like Kevin said, it's increased. Yes, it's increased because they are imposing like additional charges on this specific pandemic time. They call it an adder or a pandemic surcharge on top of the fuel and handling surcharge. So overseeing the cost and lead time, right? During this pandemic, it's quite challenging, I would say, to manage the supply chain.
Okay. Since you say that, of course, like Abdullah said, as entrepreneurs, of course, they also have difficulties due to the imposed by the government with the limitations of employees to be placed every day and all that. And that means we have a short number of employees only allowed per day, to work and all that. It's a very high, very difficult situation because they have the operations to run, and with these little numbers, they have to, manage it, and they also have another set of customers to fulfill within, because they have promised to deliver things. Now, being an employee, now that is the employees' difficulties. Now, being an employee, do you believe that there must be a kind of a multitasking expertise needed for every employees at this pandemic time? From the panel, like Luis?
mean, for me, of course, yes, because I'm not handling supply chain, honestly speaking.
Okay.
Because sometimes when the company is having server issues, then I have to rush back to the company to check on whether it's the cable snap off or whether it's the IPs having issues or because my previous company, IT department is actually based in Thailand. So we don't actually hire a high IT personnel in Malaysia right now.
Okay.
So yeah, something happens, I have to go back to the company to check on the servers, to troubleshoot it on site. Then yeah, and my background is not IT at all. So you have to learn it on the ground. So yeah.
No, of course, that's what I'm asking, because why? You see, this situation is unknown, and I think we all started to experience the new thing, and with the kind of a conditional things happen imposed, I think the employees have to adopt to the new changes, and then they need to become a multitasking. Actually, this multitasking thing is not new, of course. It's already exists so many years, but then of course. At this point of time, I think being an entrepreneur also, I think they would expect the employee to be more flexible and manage it. I think as employees, I think you all have to, do that too, I believe. Isn't it, Luis? Miss Luis?
Yes.
Sorry, Miss Lau. Sorry. Apology. Miss Lau?
Yes, true. We are actually, honestly speaking, 24 hours is not enough for us nowadays. Usually, we actually keep on OT, just like finishing all the stuff. Like, ad hoc is really needed lah. Like, we have to check in case we need to fulfill all our customer requirements. So we need to do our homework well before we going to our customer, propose on our preferable routing and also the cost. So we before we going to customer, the ad hoc I need to do is I need to calculate the cost, everything. So I need to tell them what is the consequences if we go by this transport mode and what is the currently challenges we facing before we propose to each customer. So really 24 hours is nowadays is not enough for us. Yeah, really.
Okay. That's something actually new indeed for Amin. Of course,
yeah.
Nobody would requires you to work too long, but due to the situation, I think we have to do some adoptions and adaptations for that actually. Okay,
Yes.
Abdullah, this question I would like to pose to you. Being an entrepreneur, of course, you have your number of employees, of course, and you have your requirements at the same time. What kind of knowledge should be input to the students as a university? They also have a line of knowledge and in terms of subjects and things been given, been provided. Now, what kind of things for the current situations? What kind of supply chain knowledge do you think the university should impart in order to cater for your organizations? What kind of knowledge subjects do you think they should give?
Thank you, Mr. Mohan. We have many type of students but okay, let me focus on the student doing on the business as well as supply, which is a major in supply chain. I think during universities education, they have been taught about all these supply chains, which is started from the farmers, go to the gathering place and go to the warehouse and go to wholesalers. After that, it goes to supermarket, hypermarket, and then go to the retailers and go to the customers. I think most of the, especially supply chains or business student or accounting student, management student, they know about this. But I strongly said here, they are not exposed practically. They are not, I repeat again, they are not exposed practically doing this job because they are being taught in what you call just theory. So they have to be on the fields. They have to be on the fields for 6 months or 1 year to get them to feel what they have learned, what have they been taught in the university, so that they actually can feel and can do what they have learned during university. I think being that way, they maybe will have a good combination of their education and practicals in the company, so that they can have more ideas and also more suggestion which can improvise the supply chain system overall.
Okay, wow, that's really something I think enlighten our understanding about the logistics educations actually from the university perspective actually.
Mr.
Of course,
Mohan,
like yep.
sorry to interrupt. Just for the participant, if you have any questions to ask to the panel, could you please write in the Q&A box, which is it is there in front of you, so we could try to answer your questions at the end. Sorry to disturb you, Mr. Mohan. So for
No
to
problem.
the participant, if you have any questions to ask, could you please write in the Q&A box so that we will answer your questions afterward. Okay, all back to you, Mr. Mohan.
Thank you. Yeah, I think. Okay, I think Abdullah said the right things actually. I think the exposure of students in the field is very much needed when it comes to actual practicality actually. And I believe that I think the university also working towards the directions and emphasize a lot that the students need to get some exposure, like a visit and all that. Of course, we also, the university also really working towards that directions actually, Abdullah.
Mr. Mohan,
yep.
Can I interrupt?
Please.
I will I propose in that way, when we want to certify or to make it to call it as a operational supply chain student, which is they have to do such as like SCCH accounting and so on. What they have to do theoretically in university, for example, 3 years maybe, and go to the ground for another 3 years and sit down for the exam. After that, they will be called certified professional supply chain. I think that is the best way.
Yeah, of course. And but Abdullah, but I tell you, this is something that of course is a different dynamic way of thinking. Actually, is very good. But the other thing that also that university also been binded by the set of rules that for the students we have to complete the what do you call the syllabus, and the program structured such a way that they have to follow that actually. So, but of course, today we also have requirement in most of the university, and especially like UTAR for logistics. All the lecturers need to be experienced people actually. They must have a industrial experience, because so that they can share the knowledge of it for the students, with the students during the sessions. Of course, I'm still agree with you. I think I totally agree with you that because the student need practicality understanding more apart from the theoretical understanding too, right? Okay. On the other hand, how do you find hiring the professionals for the area of logistics? Do you have do you have any difficulties currently, or things like that, or in your business?
Okay. My business in food, our product is not sophisticated as our friends are doing the electronic, what we call AMD and so on. So it's just a food product, is the most important thing is they have to learn how to take care about the quality, the temperature, the transportation, the damages, and so on. I think to hire, we don't need qualified or advanced professional logistics, as long which is SBM leavers or the diploma, we can train them. So after a few months, they know what the nature of the product requirement, and they follow the SOP what we said. I think it should be all right. Compared to those our friends, Mr. Louis, Calvin, they are in high-tech company. There must be different approach in handling the products, right?
Okay, Encik Abdullah, I think, I mean, from your point of view, I think it's different requirements from different company perspective for the, for the professionalism of, these employees and all that. But I think even for your, what do you call, business perspective, I think it's not easy, because they also need to have some kind of knowledge in order to manage that perishable and, which is highly demanded. I think during the pandemic, I think that is the most required item. Actually, the other things all stopped. The food supply was continued, and and they say it should have a continuity of supply. I think this is what the most important. I think your nature of products become very, very critical and pivotal for the the people actually in Malaysia. Actually, I think overall everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Please.
I agree with you. The food product is vital to everybody. If we do not supply to food, I think Mr. Mohan also will die. Dr. Muhammad Asman also cannot die. So it offers a very essential product, which is what normally when this critical situation happen, we have internal training. We always give them training and educate them the new ways, new things, so that our people understand how to handle this kind of product, the frozen product, the chilled product, and dry product, or the canned product, and so on, so that the product is intact with the good quality before reaching to the customers.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. That's what actually I'm sure that is your real objective, in the business as being an entrepreneur. I'm sure that is your main objective actually. Okay. Now I would like to put this, this question to the panel, the other panels. Mr. Calvin, being an alumni, logistics and UTAR ally alumni, how do you find how this study of logistics would benefited you actually?
Okay, so I mean, I was a student as well, so I think students nowadays will think that, oh, what's this topic? It seems very benign, some of the topics, but actually when you go into the workplace, you actually pick up stuff faster. Especially if you're in the logistics field and supply chain field, you actually pick up stuff faster. Like, for example, Incoterms, there are 8 or 9 of them. Then when you see it, it doesn't seem as foreign to you as some, maybe like people from other courses doing the same job as you, because the same job can have like people from different backgrounds, different courses to working in the same field with you, but you actually are able to understand the process a little faster than others. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. How about Ms. Lau? Being a UTAR alumni, how do you think that the study of logistics benefited you actually? This will, the reason why I'm asking this will benefit the other students who's listening today also, because why it's so important in logistics, actually in the ground actually, like Dato as well, Dr. Azam, all of us, we have been from the industry perspective and we have learned, and from the student perspective, I think when you say it, it will be more bright and, enlighten the other parties actually. Okay, please.
Yeah, definitely, Mr. Mohan. I'm proud to be one of the LI alumni actually. Yeah, I actually, I'm glad that I take this course. Like, actually, I've been exposed to many knowledge and basics, such as like Incoterms, which every day we are practice. Yeah. So, yeah, when each and every day we are using like what we have practiced earlier when we are studying in our in UTAR, right? Every day we have been like apply some of the knowledge, such as what the Incoterms, be on lading, what is the solar, VGM, all is very important, like terms and there's some specific terms we are learned earlier, way earlier compared to others. I have some colleagues that are not exposed to these logistics courses before. They're actually taking business. Some of them may be not really familiar with some terms like we have learned earlier during my time in Utah. Yeah. So it's actually studying logistics is very important. Like you have already, you can get to know more on this before you really step into the real working life. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lau. How about Mr. Luis? From your what do you call exposure and experience now after being a alumni from Utah and finished that program, how do you find it actually? This program benefited you?
For me, I personally think that it's quite a good one because when I work in my previous company, they are like, IT-based company. So even though they are doing like online printing, I'm handling their supply chain. So I have to convey the supply chain or all the logistics terms to the IT team to set up certain programs, set up certain systems, because the IT teams, they don't even know what Incoterm is,
okay,
or even what is the throughput, what is the those specific terms and specific concept. So they have to put it in the way that when you communicate with IT teams, you have to speak their language. So I serve as something like intermediary person or middle person who actually convey the language to the IT team and also the company's warehouse and distribution centers, because I joined them during their startup. They are like forming the companies like 2-3 months old that time. So I actually placed in task to help them to set up the warehouse system, so that I have to convey a specific certain warehouse terms like the warehouse management systems to actually let them know that this is a term that convey to this value. So it's like a person who react between the IT and the on-site situations. So with the Utah's course providing, right, Utah actually asked us to learn about programming. So it actually helps for my course, because I understand that Utah currently have like two almost similar logistic course, right? One is Bachelor of Science, one is business terms.
Yes.
So yes, because I graduated as a Bachelor of Science, which consists of like, the programming. So it's really helps on, setups, understand the programming language, the networking and all those. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Very good. Excellent. No, that's what actually, I think you also did answer the one which I asked the earlier, that, being an employee, you have to be a multitasking person. So when we learn something new at the university level, it is not just to learn and pass that subject actually. I think like what Abdullah said, you need to get exposed and then apply what you have learned. I think that will be the most appropriate, and I think that is the wise things to do actually. Okay, Abdullah, from your side, I just like to understand that of course CILT is already a professional body, already exists many years actually. Okay, and they have been serving, and they also been very supportive to the nations as well in many industries, in the logistics field as well, supply chain. Now, from entrepreneur's perspective, from your point of view, how do you think that this CILT, such a professional body of in terms of logistics and transport, could benefit you, and also can assist you better in your business nature? How do you think that, and having them with you actually as a partners?
Okay, before I go to the explain the benefits of CILT to our industries, to our business, let me explain at the beginnings. Those days, we never find. I mean, talking about 200 years ago, people never mention about the supply chain words, right? But
Yes.
at this current moment, now the words supply chains, right? I
Yes.
remember when I was staying in Kampung those time, apa nama Datuk Datuk Mayudin and Dr. Azam, when during the kampung time, I remember. So in the kampung, these people are these people they bear the chicken, and this kampung they bear the what you call the cow, and plant the paddy field and so on. So everybody are planting what they have, but they are exchange the product. They are barter the product to fulfill their own life, right? This is common happen. So when we look at during the Prophet Muhammad, which is Prophet Muhammad travel to Syria to do the trade, to bring the product to Syria, and then after that go back to Mecca and go to Yemen. Is the distance about 1,000 miles just to deliver the product to fulfill what the market needs, right?
Yes.
At that time, never word of supply chain, but now in a modern way, then the word is supply chain exists, right? Am I right or not, Mr. Mohan?
Yes, absolutely. You are right, actually.
Yeah. Come to the now we are facing the complex economic environment, we call it, right?
Yes.
Which with helping of IT and e-commerce to really expedite the supply chain movement, supply chain skill and supply chain environment, which is expedite, and which is now we can see the GNP company involved, post business involved, and the courier service, which they are booming now. Those who are staying in the company, they are really can make money, right? But those who are in the flight industry, tourism industry, they are, yeah, I mean, very sad, right?
Yes.
So is the revolution of a supply chain is bringing from the kampung time, those time now come to the complex environment. So I can say that I can conclude that CILT is essential, is suitable to help and also to assist, especially in our business, in the food business, and also other business, to make improve, improvise, to make the supply chain better and better, right?
Yes.
That is my conclusion.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. That's actually, you have said it in very brief, and you also said it how important CILT can be, in order to boost the, the industries as well, especially in the logistics as well, And I think, even logistics, I mean, I think CILT Para is working towards a direction. From the last webinar, we heard a lot of inputs actually, Dato.
Yeah. So I think what is most important now, I think, is to mesh between the education and the industry.
Yes.
I think the one that we do today, I think we are going to the right direction.
Absolutely.
Like what Haji Abdullah said just now, so you need exposure for those students to practice what they have learned.
Yes.
So I think as far that's why, the day we called the FMM, for our first webinar, the ESCO, I think the state ESCO will be visiting UTAR, so at least they know what UTAR has produced, and he is the ESCO in charge of the industry. So what we can do is for the ESCO to connect with the industry. Then I think the industry also needs those workers or staff that have brain. I mean, they need a qualified people to be in their organization.
Yes.
Then slowly we can we can get the, at the moment we are using a lot of foreign workers, and I think we have lost a lot of money to, in our, that's why our economy becomes, so I
Yes.
think hopefully, I think with UTAR, and then we have got members from the Navy. Navy is quite active
Yes.
in CILT, and
Yes,
then
yes.
UNIMED in Lumut, we are involved in the Marine. So we are getting yesterday, I think last 3 days, I went to see the Higher Education Ministry, met the director that look after industry linkages. So we're getting the Polytechnic, UTAR, those universities in Perak, so that more people will get involved with the CILT. And then at the same time, we have, I think we work closely with the industry. We have got the Chinese chamber, we have got the Indian chamber, international chamber, FMM. So I think it's high time that we give the opportunity for the student to do internship and also to be in Perak. I think like now the alumni, they are in Penang, they are in Singapore. So
Yeah.
we must try to get those people who are from Perak to work in Perak.
Yeah, very good, Dato. Very good, excellent idea. I think the direction is there. Actually, I think there are a lot of work being done. I think in order to establish this.
I think the other thing that is very important is the IT 4.0. So
Yeah.
I'm going to because the other day I saw in the TV in Singapore, so when during the pandemic they deliver food using robots. So I think a lot of industry now they got to go mechanized. And then
Yes.
the students also, they need to know more. Now every university is ITM, what Polytechnic, even UTAR, even my daughters, my son, now doing things through internet. I think the IoT is very important also.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you, Dato. Thank you for that wonderful informations. Actually, okay. Students, how these questions particularly for you all. Actually, being as ex-students as an alumni. Okay, Kelvin, how do you find? I think Azam, Dr. Azam, is one of the key person previously. I mean, from the day one. Initiating the the knowledge of CILT to students in UTAR, actually, and it is good that UTAR have already, being a partner with CILT. Now, how do you see that the CILT had supported your career, actually?
I would say, I think there's two things. One, because we have to go through some of the courses as well, and these courses help, honestly speaking, because it's an additional knowledge on top of what we learn in UTAR.
Okay.
And second thing, it will be you actually meet people from the industry, who are also doing their CILT, and you're able to gain some network or some experiences when they share regarding what they are facing. Actually, during the class, there are some Q&A sessions as well, and these people will share what they're facing, what's the actual current condition that's happening in real life. So we actually were able to gain some pointers during the classes, and I think that helped me during my day-to-day.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Kelvin. How about Ms. Lau? How do you find that CILT has benefited you, actually? I mean, you're across the other end. I mean, in Singapore, and I believe Singapore also very active in CILT, actually.
Thank you, Mr. Mohan. Actually, this CILT it's actually like quite known in my among my colleagues. Unfortunately, I'm not a member of CILT, but I'm sure I'll be getting one soon.
Very good.
Yes. Because we will actually get updated along with all the logistics expertise here. Then we get updated to realize what is the actually challenges, what's the issues currently facing among all of us. Because it's not I think it really helped because going on for the courses, right, it actually get ourselves fresh again on the what's new on the logistics. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think it's very good and a very high time for, especially students as well, the industry, the logistic industry involved, employees to get themselves, to register with the CILT and be a member there, because I think it's a professional body and it is recognized not only in Malaysia, I think it's more than 35 countries worldwide actually, and I think it's a great opportunity. I think Dr. Azam, myself, Dr. and all of us, and I think Encik Abdullah, we all, I think we have understood the real necessity being, having a professional body with us, in our life actually, how it benefits and things, and I believe it's very important to have that, How about Luis? How do you find that this CILT have benefited? I'm sure that you are a a chartered member.
Yes, I'll be same like Kevin. 2 points. First is actually open up my networks in supply chain and logistics, especially because I don't have any background on this at all. It's like white papers, so it actually opened up my connections and getting to know all the peoples, all the big players. Okay. Secondly, the CILT actually, I would say sometimes it's having a little bit of advantages when you are actually having a business opportunity with the trucking company, with the freight forwarders. When they do join CILTs also, you actually, they have a feeling like, we are in the same topics, we are speaking the same language. So it's easier for me to communicate with them. I'm not sure about the other panelists, but for me, I've been dealing with previous companies, right? When we dealing with the trucking companies, freight forwarders, when they have the idea about CILT, then yes, normally the discussion, the meeting will be smoother, and then they have a impression that you are speaking the language.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it's even better. Yeah.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Dato, probably something to say on this, Dato. I mean, for that's as a inspiration words for the students. The importance of CILT actually. Dato, from you, be very welcome.
To me, I think I should say that the students now, they are lucky to to go into these courses, because I was in UTAR back in 1971. So at that point in time, it is called Chartered Institute of Transport.
Yes.
Then it was graduated from UK.
At
that point in time, so there is no internet, nothing, just a journal. So for the students to get through the Chartered Institute Transport, it takes sometimes 5 years to
Yeah.
But now I think that it was last time was just totally Chartered Institute Transport, and then after graduating, the opportunities only at the point in time was Container National, the port, RMV, the JPJ. But now, if you graduated, there are a lot of big organizations in Malaysia at the moment. So your opportunities are very wide, very huge. And then
exactly.
it is quite a lot of reputable companies that want to engage CILT students.
Yes.
So hopefully, I hope that the students really, really go for it and try to get as higher as possible, from MRT to charter and later to fellowship and whatnot. So
yes.
And then the second important thing is for us, the chartered, institute in my headquarters, Asia, Colombo, the state, we got to be networking together.
Yeah.
We share information, and we should work really. I think as far as CILT Malaysia, as far as education is concerned, super. I think
Yes.
there are more than 20 universities and colleges, polytechnic, all that are doing that course. But now is to improve on the industry linkages. So I hope the UTAR, the industry linkages section must be you strengthen that part, and then on CILT Perak part, I think we will work together to facilitate whoever what is required by UTAR, and the
Yes.
government, the federal government, or the NGOs that I mentioned earlier, the Chinese Chamber, Indian Chamber, International Chamber, the FM. There are big there are big companies in Perak actually. Very, very big companies. There are a lot, but if you work, I think there are a lot of industrial estate, manufacturing company, warehousing company. So I hope all the best to the student. Don't feel that you don't, you must value that. I think once you graduated, I think there are opportunities for you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dato. Excellent. Very nicely said, actually. Okay, Encik Abdullah, from being an entrepreneur, I'd like to ask this: what will be your advice for the the students that studying logistics? I mean, not only from UTAR, I'm talking about generally those studying logistics. What could be your advice for them, actually, from as an entrepreneur?
I think the common advice is they have to study hard.
I believe they are doing very hard indeed, because I think
and then at the same time they have to imagine the real industry, and then when they go out, they go and look for the similar industries, which is what they have learned in the university before. What sometimes I feel is a waste that when these students, when they go out, they go in the different field, they go in this different area. That means they waste their time, their money, their investment on that, which is they cannot practice what they have learned. I can give an example. When I study business, I was offered as a diplomat officer. I was diplomat officer. I've been there for 6 months. So after that, I feel that it's not really suitable to me, because I'm a business student. I must prove that I have to be a successful business person. So I told my father, please, Pa, you force me to go, I obey your order, I follow your order, but I can obey your order for 6 months, that's all. Sorry, Pa, I have to apologize, then I have to change my career, because I believe what I know what I like. So I want to go into the business area. So he asked me, where you want to go? I want to go to Sam Dhabi in a marketing as a marketing executive. Then he allowed me. Alhamdulillah, thanks God. When I go to the marketing, that I learn the business industry, all that. At the time, I'm very shy to knock the door, to see the people, and then talking to the people, to meet the rich people, dato, and to talk to them. It's not that easy, gabra. Jadi, tak boleh nak keluar perkataan tau. Cannot come out. So I learned that, I faced with that. Sometimes people scolding me, never mind. So thanks God, when I practice doing that, it's not mean that I'm good enough, but thanks God, I can practice what I have learned before, and I put in my real business. I can manage the company from $50 company. Now it goes to the Perak capital. It's nearly 1 million Perak capital.
Wow, that's wonderful, wonderful, excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Encik Abdullah. Wonderful words, actually, I think, for the students, actually. I think it's very right, actually, what Encik Abdullah says, actually. But situations sometimes may arise, and you might be pushed to, or forced to go into another job than what you have studied. That happens today, actually. But of course, eventually, I think they need to come back to the directions or the destiny where they're supposed to belong and where they're supposed to go. I think there are many channels today, like what Dato said just now. At one time, we don't have the channels and networks at those, but today we have a lot of ways actually we can really, improve, and we can go into the area that, especially like logistics. And I really believe that logistics is very, very critical for any organizations. Logistics is a very critical area for any organizations, and the opportunity for logistics, profession is always there. Been in the logistics for almost 30 years working, and I've seen that actually. And I think I totally believe that. And having chartered is also another plus point for me, actually. I believe Dr. Azam also experienced that actually, we all. So it's a wonderful thing that actually, that to hear from you. Okay, from the student perspective, okay, yeah, what you would like to share, and for the students who are listening in this webinar actually. Luis, what would you like to say actually?
Okay, for
of course, like what Inti Abdullah said, study hard. Of course, they are doing. They are forced to do that.
I mean, study hard is a must, I would say. But given that my result in UTAR is not that, significant.
No. I think we all agree to one thing. It is not the result, It is actually the what do you call the performance that you're going to show later. It's what going to be the judgmental, actually, it's not the grade going to determine your success actually. In Abdullah, he said, he worked hard and prove that he can become an entrepreneur. That's what actually, it is nothing else actually. So I think the grade is not so significant here, Luis. Don't worry.
Yes, of course, because what I think the important part is actually in supply chain and logistics, right? You have to be having a clear mind, because you have to know what is actually happening around you beside the office politics. Because you need to understand what is the world is going around, and then what is actually happening to the processes. Because maybe some mistake, it's unintentionally, it's maybe a small mistake only in the earlier stages, and then
Yes.
some people is just ignored it, or they just don't aware of it, right?
Yes.
Then it will be becoming a big problem at the end of the day. So you need to spend more time on, to actually fix the problems.
Yes.
Yeah. So for a logistic practitioner or a supply chain, I mean, anyone in the supply chain fields, right? You need to be, detail oriented, I would say.
Yes.
So if you are not detail oriented, then yeah, you might having a lot of problems or a lot of issues coming back for you later on to that.
Yes.
It could
right.
happen. Yeah.
Yes. You're right. How about you? What kind of a word can you share for the students? The future logisticians?
I do agree what Mr. Luis shared just now. So to add on, okay, actually logistics is actually quite wide for us lah. I cannot say like how was it? But don't hold the curiosity lah. When you feel curious on something, you just then you will like, wow, you will learn and know more. Yeah, don't hold your curiosity. Then explore more. Logistics is I think I have learned quite a lot when I step in my real working life in logistics. Yeah. So yeah, continue work hard for all these juniors there. Yeah.
Okay. How about Kelvin?
Okay, so one thing I learned to be in the working environment was I think you should learn to be very flexible in terms of your thinking and the way you're working, because there's no set way or manual on how to execute your job. Always but you need to be open to ideas and then learn to think out of the box when you are thinking of solutions, because maybe your way or your solutions are better than what is being implemented now, and that's a plus point for you when you're trying to start out in any new job. And then I think one advice for those currently still studying, if you have a field that you're interested in, and your academic advisor is one of our lecturers, logistics lecturers, they're very knowledgeable in this field. So if you have a direction you want to pursue, I think every semester you guys have a meetup with your academic advisor, right? You always can pose some questions, or maybe do some research on that particular field, and maybe you can ask them for their advice, in case this is the direction you want to pursue in the future, what avenues you can explore to maybe increase your knowledge, or what are the possible challenges you may face when you pursue this direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good, very good, excellent. I think the panels, even from the student perspective, as well our entrepreneur, I think they have shared a wider being a student and become logisticians later, or in the field of work. You have to have a kind of adaptability in many ways, actually. Many things actually. It's not particularly one, like what Inchi Abdullah says. You must have a focus, actually. Is what he indirectly saying, that is focused that towards what you're doing and what you want to achieve. And likewise, the other panels also said, being a student and then and then now become what do you call an employee in a company, the requirements changes from time to time. So the one important thing, that whatever you are learning, you need to transform that into a skill, how you're going to perform, actually. This is what actually the most important thing for being a student as well. I believe it is a wonderful session of discussion from the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and then it's gone to the level of the professional body, and then we also discuss on the perception of an individual as a student as well. So I believe we have we have covered a lot of things, actually. Before we I should pass the the floor to Dr. Azam for the Q&A. Abdullah, do you have any last word to share with us, actually?
I think I come on everything.
Yeah. You shared a wonderful things, actually. Very practicality that I saw in just now what you're saying. I'm very delighted with that, actually. Yeah. Indeed, very good. And of course, Dato, your point of that the sharing is fantastic, actually, and you have opened up the eye of people about the our professional body of CILT as well. And I think even the other panels, Calvin, Luis, and Lau, you have shared your exposure of your experience after finishing studies in UTAR and what is logistics all about. With that, I would like to take this moment to thank all of you for being with us. And now I would like to hand over to Dr. Azam for the Q&A session. Thank you very much to all of you, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mohan. I have a few questions that has been posted by our attendees. First, in the chat box, this is from Sharon Simon. Sharon said, right direction with good teamwork is important in supply chain to secure the material to support the production. So, what types of leadership is required during pandemic for business sustainability, especially in procurement team? Okay. Any of the panelists would like to answer this question? What types of leadership that is required during the pandemic for business sustainability, especially in the procurement team? How about Cik Abdullah first?
The leadership skills that we need during pandemic is the first one is endurance, fast decision making, always alert with the changing schedule and environment, and also need to have what you call to understand the environment, so that it's not easy to scold and burst when the products or the product are not delivered in time.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
Luis, would you like to add?
I would say what types will be, it's only one type I would say. It's not problem focused, but be a solution focused. Because if you are focusing on the problems that you're currently having right now, right, you are going nowhere. So why don't you just focus on whatever solution that is possible to make it happen, then just focus on finding the solution to solve the current situation, instead of like, looking at the COVID, people is losing jobs, and then material is not coming in, then vessel is being stuck in Suez Canal and all those things. Then it's rather than you focus on that, you looking at the alternative solution to solve your current situations, instead of like, you keep on thinking on the problem would not solve itself.
Yeah.
So why don't you focus on finding a solution to solve the problem?
Okay. Miss Zizwan, Miss Low, what do you think?
Hi. Will it be very noisy here? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can hear you.
can.
Okay. Actually, I also agree what Mr. Lewis said just now. Instead of looking at the problem, why not we just solve, like finding another alternative, like what we can do instead. We just focusing on the problems, like what we can solve, like to avoid delaying. Yeah, we are looking on the solving the problem, because each of every day we are facing different challenges. Yeah, solving problem instead is the it's one of the skills that must, and not say it's a must, but it's required. Yeah.
Correct. Kelvin, would you like to add?
I think I will summarize. Sorry.
Yes, Kelvin.
Dr. Muhammad, would you like to speak?
Actually, before this pandemic, there are quite a lot of times. I think back in the 70s, there was recession, 80s, every 10 years, 90s, 20s. The problem, of course, there will be problems. But I would agree what Mr. Luis was saying just now. So you face, got any problem, you have got to face. A good leader will face the problem and solve the problem. But if you start thinking of all the problems, then become problem. So, for me, I have experiences. I think experiences for recession, and then I think this one is, of course, I think the worst lah. But luckily during this time, because I've been long in business, luckily the situation at the moment, without you some depend some of the but like me, I'm involved in the construction and some development. So some during this situation, some of the thing, even you are a good leader, so you cannot solve problem. I take for example the tourism industry, the hotel industry. I think quite a lot of them collect the the air nearly, like they cannot. And then the other thing, you just imagine, like Silverstone, they've got two companies in Taipei, Silverstone and Toyo. So this Silverstone has been doing very well, but during this pandemic, of course, the sale and the rest of the thing, the logistic, like what we were discussing just now, the problem, or that all those things are So they lost about 200 over million. So what can they do? So the only thing is they find ways to cut losses and they try to stop. Now they use just Toyo. They've got two companies. So they close down one company, then so that's what they did. They find solution. So whatever a good leader will face the problem and find solution.
Okay, thank you, Dato. Kelvin?
Okay, Kelvin.
So I think I will summarize it into one sentence is that we have a saying in Mandarin, the plan will never catch up to the changes. So as someone from procurement, actually, the leadership you actually need is that foresight. When you see a proposal or a project, you should be asking, what are the problems that we are going to face, or you ask the team, any potential pitfalls with this proposal, or what do you think you're going to face when you're executing this proposal, and you have to think of a way to prevent it before you actually meet the problem in the future.
So that means leadership is very important, and then the leader itself has to play the role to ensure that the problem can be solved. Okay, can we summarize into that, right?
Dr. Tam,
Yes.
can I add something here?
Yes, Mr. Mohan,
Okay.
please.
Okay, I think being a procurement, I think to have a sustainability, I think we must find alternatives actually. We need to really look into the alternative way of getting the sources, and also to plan how to logistics these sources, to the requirement places. And of course, today we have a lot of what you call opportunity as well, ways and to execute the procurement task in a way that it makes things. It is not that we are going to, like what just now, what do you call, Calvin was saying that, we can, we look for another alternative suppliers in a local rather than, we are, because we are unable to bring the supply from the other end. So we are looking for the local supplies. That is another strategic, alternative strategy that we can adopt in a procurement perspective. Of course, we need to bear in mind that we need to have the realistic as well, reasonable quality and quantity of supplies as per how it was previously. And please bear, I think every one of us should understand that the COVID is just a situation that came within this 2 years actually. But prior that also we do have challenges in terms of procurement. And I think we have our own way, or a different alternative way to manage and overcome that. I think now we need additional input of ideas to manage the situations. This is how you need to bring the sustainability in the procurement itself. That's how I think, I believe you can manage. Of course, it's too wide area to discuss actually. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mohan. Now I have a second question. This is in the Q&A. It is from anonymous attendees. This from anonymous attendees. It right here. May I know from the panelists here on how they envision the future logistic and supply chain industry after the pandemic, and the main or the new challenges that will be faced at that future time. So anyone would like to give these answers, to answer this question?
I think after the pandemic, the challenges will keep on be changing. There'll be challenges. It's going to be different challenges. So but how you address it? You see, like now, why this China and America, they were because say during the pandemic, I think China they solve their problem very fast. They go for better technology, now 6G. But kita baru 4G, 5G. So I think what I've got to do is we've got to go for knowledge and we've got to more and more, not only say, even we are in the course of doing CILT, but you have got to do more. I mean, we have got to know more than what we have learned. So you've got to be very informative. You got to because now it's a world of technology, and I know an information technology. So whoever have more knowledge, that's why now people are not doing. Now people are doing selling ideas instead of last time. Doing business physically, but now quite a lot of they are selling ideas. So I think they've got to be prepared. Then the more like what I used to say, during my time, there was only few universities. They have a University Malaya, UTM, UTN, ITN, USM. Only 5 universities. And during that time, not many people are very, few graduates are. And then there are a lot of opportunities. But now, the local universities, though, there are a lot of, graduates. Now, not only degree, they are like during my batch. I was in the Malay College, the batch of 68. After a couple of years, I think I met them 70 something. There were already 60 of them, doctorate, either medical doctor or PhD doctor. And now, even worse, they have come back from US, they come back from UK, Russia, Germany, everywhere, France, Spain. But now there are not many opportunities. You have got to really compete. And so you must be prepared. Even I know without COVID or without COVID, you must be prepared to be, one up from the rest of it. Then the future is skill. If you have got the skill, then you can survive. Because I take for example, this last time they used to call it Arkam Arkam. Now they Equan Global. So now their focus is on the young, youngsters. So they train the youngsters on skill. They've got each one of them, from 15 years old to 20 years old. They've got about 11 skills that they know. So and then they've got networking throughout the world. They've got officers in Turkey, Bosnia, UK, France. So these young people can go anywhere. They can work anywhere. So what I'm trying to say is the students of CILT must be prepared to be everywhere. Actually, our certificate, the charter, we can work anywhere in the 35 more than the 5 countries that Mohan mentioned. So I think let's be more. I mean, don't be inferior. We have got to be, we have got to be confident. We must always feel that we can do it. Don't be inferior. Our problem is, but there are a lot of Malaysians. They are outside of the country. They are doing very well. So there are, hopefully, whatever with COVID or without COVID, so everybody must have the must have the drive, must have the endurance, like what Jidola said, and move forward and be positive. The most important thing I always tell everybody must be very positive. Your mind must be very positive, and then everything will be okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dato. Cik Dola, would you like to add on the future of the supply chain?
Again?
The question asked about what we should look at, the envision the future of logistics and supply chain after the pandemic, and how should we these challenges? How should we manage these new challenges?
Okay, let me look at. I recall during Solomon time, Nabi Sulaiman. during the second time when they do the supply chain of delivering the letter through birds, right?
Yep.
From through birds, one place to another place. Okay,
Yes.
this is a part of supply chains, transportation of delivering messages and all that, right? So then I relate to a chairman of Air Asia. Now he proposed a drone to deliver product, deliver good to one place to another place. So I can mention here is a new challenge that for the supply chain have our youngsters have to learn how to repairing the flying cars, flying drones instead of go into the skill of repairing motorcycle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right?
Yes.
We have to move rather than our adults are focusing repairing motorcycle. Now go toward thinking how to go on mechanical repairing of flying cars and drones and so on, because our environment are moving toward that. Because later on we going to deliver goods, no more touching the ground. We are flying from one place to another place. This is a totally new chain of supply chain mechanism will be changed, right?
Yes, yes. It's true.
Yeah. Thank you, PJ Arullah. Yeah, it is something we have to expect because technology disruption is happening right now. We cannot run away.
I remember when I was training when I training in Sam Dhabi 30 years ago, when I given a chance to present what future product I should present to the world. I took the TV, old TV, put it in front and telling that this product is going to be the future, that we are going to have meeting in front of TV. So everybody are laughing to me because how come they cannot believe, they're laughing to me because I make a joke. No, now we are meeting in front of the TV, in front of the right. So what I believe in the future, we are delivering by using flying car, drone, and so on, so that we have to make our adults go on repairing mechanical in flying cars and drone rather than on motorcycles. Because these people are they repairing motorcycle, they suka net satu kan, racing all that.
Agree. Like this is for me, this is not funny because it's true. 2 years ago, we never heard about Food Panda and GrabFood. Now it is our household name.
Yes.
But this is something might happen in the future. Okay, let's hear from the alumni. Luis, what your feedback on this one, on these questions? Future of logistics and supply chain after the pandemics, and what are the new challenges? What do you expect? What do you see, Luis?
Okay, for the future of logistics, the things that is actually happening right now, right? We can see, I'm not sure about you guys, whether you read newspapers or not, because the hardware store in Malaysia, that's a really famous one with a yellow color thing, start with the something, Mr. something, right? Okay, they're having a warehouse in Sri Kembangan, and their warehouse actually, I think it's fully automated already, adaptations of the technologies. So I will suggest that the future logistician or the supply chain few players, right, or the students that are going to join the logistic or supply chain field needs to have the knowledge of ITs, especially on programming the robotics, learn on Pythons, some programming language other than C's, because future is actually about tax. You need to have those supply chain or logistic knowledge. It's your field, but to add on, you need to have IT background. it doesn't need to be an expert in IT to prevent, hacking from hackers to build a firewall for the banking system or fintech. No, it doesn't need to be in that way, but you need to possess certain skill in programming or networking, because the future will be going towards that directions. And I can see that Malaysia is going towards that directions also, because the adaptations of technology in the warehouse, slowly they were moving from warehouse maybe to the other part of supply chain or the other part of the logistics. So the technology will actually eliminate certain jobs if you don't acquire certain skills that to have a future proof. Then you might face some things like, okay, I don't have this skill. How am I going to survive in the futures? Sorry, because this is like a serious, not so good view, but yeah, the world is currently happening in this way. So students, future students that are going to join the field, better acquire technology skills or programming skills, either one, acquire some. So you will know, or you will have certain basic to actually help you to maybe foresee, to adapt to the changes that going through in the field. So this, I think, the part that I'm going to add on.
Okay, thank you, Luis. Zizwan?
Dr. Azam, I
Yes.
think what Luis says is, I think what I would like to just add is not saying that there is a diversification of organization itself. It's a diversification of the people actually in terms of knowledge, and also the mindset they have, that they need to move towards and then another direction, so that they can overcome the the disruption of supply chain, like what happening currently, and also finding a mitigation for managing the situation, so a smart way of doing it, actually, like what you say just now. 2 years ago we don't know what is panda, and today that has become a household. So it's a mindset change, actually, and then I think like what Abdullah says also just now, we have never experienced in using the Zoom and Microsoft Team and all that, but today that become a part and parcel of our life, because our interaction become more visualized already, visual. So this, I think, Luis, you had a point there actually. Thank you.
So let's hear from Zizwan.
Dr. Azam,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Azam, I think that I got a message from the CILT Malaysia. So for today's webinar, I think 180 people applied to join, and we can only accept 100 participants today. So can you inform the participants we'll be organizing the next webinar to give the opportunity for the other 80 to come in later.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I understood, Dato'. Thank you very much, Dato'. So just to last we hear from Zizwan. She's in Singapore. She might have something on her mind as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Azam. Okay, I just want to share. So before the pandemic, right, actually everything, I think some documents we still need print from the printers. But now after pandemic, everyone is, I think working from home is a new norm now. So like printing of the documents such as the Form D for the customs at MITI site, which for what example I'm having here is like MITI site, the dagangan, they previously we actually need to print out a proof form and need to submit to MITI for the endorsement. Currently, they are working towards like going for e-tech, everything going online. So now we can see the direction, like not only for MITI, but mostly the carriers, forwarders, they are insisted us to going to the online for all the documents printing, like booking confirmation, such as like we do booking not via email anymore. We are going online everywhere. So they are setting up their system, everything going online. So we can see in future, right, after the pandemic, we will slowly how to say, reduce our manual job, which also reduce the time consuming also. Yeah. So future will be going online will be more time efficient, I would say.
Thank you, Zizwan. So this last question goes to Kelvin. This is from Ranjit Singh. He said that, Kelvin, what we learned from this COVID is to source and buy from local suppliers. You said after the pandemic, you might go back to your overseas suppliers. But why don't you maintain and develop local supplier for future sustainability? Any comment on this, Kelvin?
So, in regards to this question, right, the cost difference that I'm facing between the local and the foreign suppliers it's not just few percentages, it's actually triple, roughly triple or quadruple. So even if I factor in the freight costs from China, it's still going to be like cheaper to purchase from overseas suppliers. Of course, definitely we will try to propose to remain with our local source, but some of it is not decided by the procurement team. Some of it still has to be decided by our customer themselves, because they might be looking for different things, and also some suppliers. I think Mr. Ma mentioned that the quality, some of the specifications may not be able to be met by our local suppliers, but for our overseas suppliers, they have the capability to meet these specifications. Especially for my side, I'm servicing a medical customer, so they have slightly more requirements than a normal customer would.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelvin. So that's for today. To the panels and participants, thank you for lending your times to be with us, to share your ideas, to learn on what are the challenges that we have faced during the COVID-19, especially in managing supply chain. Now it's almost 12 o'clock. I would like to thank everybody who are attending this meeting. However, I would like to apologize for those who are not able to attend because we are limited to 100 participants. But we take this as a lesson learned, whereby in the future, we try to accommodate a bigger number of participants. Perhaps we will diversify with Zoom and Facebook Live or YouTube Live so that everyone else could participate. So thank you very much for the participant who attend. We hope to see you again in our next future webinar. That's it from us today. Thank you very much. Please be safe wherever you are and stay healthy and always think positive. Okay. For the panelists, we stay for a few minutes for a group photo, for our memorable group photo, and then after that, we will end our session. Thank you very much. And
so Mr. Mohan, you moderate well, good moderator today.
Thank you very much, Dato. Of course, it's all inspired by you kind of professionals actually. It's all learning actually. Thank you very much actually for all the support. And I really taking the opportunity to thank the panels, Inchi Abdullah, wonderful practical way of telling things actually. I really admire that actually. It is not like what you said is what you have performed just now. It is not theory. It is all practical actually. And wonderful actually. And I think the UTAR alumni who's doing now in the field, please, I wish you all the best, and you're doing very fantastic actually. Okay, and you also inspiring the new batch of students currently and to the directions of logistics. We are all of us, I think we are very delighted that today we have more students coming for logistics actually. The awareness